Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and today we're taking a closer look at a surprising source of microplastic exposure that most of us never think about: chewing gum. If you're joining us because you're interested in health and wellness, you'll want to hear about this. Alongside me is Elara Sky, who focuses on natural health. Today we'll discuss new research showing that each piece of gum might be releasing thousands of plastic particles directly into your mouth.
Thank you, Ethan. There's been a lot of attention on microplastics in our food, water, and environment. Most of us have heard about plastic bits in bottled water or from packaging. What many don't realize is that chewing gum also contributes to that load of microplastics. According to research from the University of California, Los Angeles, a single piece of gum can release up to 3,000 microplastic particles, and most of those come off in the first few minutes.
That's a big number. What struck me is the study's comparison between synthetic gums and what are often marketed as natural gums. They tested 5 synthetic brands and 5 natural brands, and they found both release similar levels of plastic. It's not just the petroleum-based products that pose a risk. Even those labeled as natural might shed the same amount of microplastics. The particles they detected were about 20 micrometers or larger, but the researchers note there may be even more nanoplastic particles that weren't measured.
Right. One key point is that it's not saliva or enzymes breaking the gum down. It's the physical chewing process, grinding and compressing the gum, that scrapes plastic particles free. The study at the American Chemical Society Spring 2025 meeting highlights that 94% of these particles are released in the first 8 minutes, with the majority within the first 2 minutes. If someone chews gum every day or goes through multiple pieces, they could be ingesting as many as 30,000 plastic particles a year just from this habit.
That figure of 30,000 microplastic particles annually is pretty startling. We already take in tens of thousands of microplastics from other sources, such as food packaging and bottled water. Adding gum to the mix could significantly increase that total. Most people don't realize that gum base is basically synthetic rubber that includes plastics like polyethylene and polypropylene, the same plastics used in items like grocery bags, plastic bottles, automotive components, and even car tires.
Exactly, and this doesn't just stop at personal health. The environmental aspect is also concerning. Discarded gum is often overlooked as a form of litter, but it contains plastic that doesn't biodegrade. Once gum is spat out, it hardens and sits on sidewalks, in soil, or in water sources. Over time, it continues to release microplastics into the environment. In some areas, cleaning up gum can be a massive task, and it's expensive because the gum has to be manually removed from surfaces.
There was an article in The Conversation describing how most people are unaware they're chewing plastic. The label gum base is vague. Companies don't usually say it's made of petroleum-based synthetic rubbers. Instead, they mention gum base as though it's one harmless ingredient. But that base can include the same materials used to make plastic bags. It's a real surprise to a lot of consumers. The author of that piece believes that framing the problem as mere litter skates around the real problem, the plastic content itself.
When we talk about gum stuck to sidewalks, we think of it as trash, but it's a form of plastic pollution. Since gum doesn't biodegrade, it can stay in the environment for decades. Globally, the numbers are staggering. There's data indicating around 1.74 trillion pieces of gum are produced worldwide each year. If each piece weighs about 1.4 grams, and the synthetic gum base is roughly 30% of that, we're talking over 700,000 tons of plastic-based gum produced annually.
With such huge numbers, it becomes a significant source of plastic pollution. And as you mentioned, cleanup efforts are costly. In places like the UK, there's a chewing gum task force, but it mostly encourages people to dispose of gum properly, rather than addressing the gum's plastic formulation. Some advocates want stricter regulations to ensure full disclosure of what's in that gum base, and to push manufacturers to reduce or replace these plastic ingredients.
Precisely. The idea is that if the public knew the gum they chew is basically plastic, they might make different choices. If someone is chewing 160 to 180 pieces a year, that's an ongoing direct microplastic exposure. And it might be a quick fix to freshen breath, but there are alternatives. Once you stop chewing gum, you remove that particular source of microplastics altogether. It's one of the simplest ways to reduce overall exposure to plastic fragments.
People chew gum for different reasons. Some say it helps with stress, cravings, or keeping the mouth busy. However, there are better approaches. If the goal is freshening breath, real mint leaves can do the trick. If you need a calming activity, breathwork or going for a short walk might be more beneficial than automatically popping in another piece of gum. Research suggests that chewing one piece longer can reduce the total microplastic dose compared to constantly chewing fresh pieces, but the end result is still plastic in your mouth.
And for those who really want that chewing sensation, there are a few plastic-free gums on the market, made from natural chicle or other biodegradable bases. You'd have to read labels carefully, though. A lot of products that claim to be natural can be misleading. If the label only says gum base without giving specifics, there's no telling what's in it. That's a red flag that it probably includes synthetic components.
Let's answer a few common questions people might have. First, is chewing gum really made of plastic? Yes, most big brand gums are produced with petroleum-based plastics, like polyethylene or polypropylene. Second, how many microplastics are released when I chew a single piece? Up to 3,000, most of it in the first 2 minutes. It adds up fast if you're a regular chewer.
Another question. Are natural gums safer? Not necessarily. The study found that many labeled natural gum products still contained plastic and released microplastics in similar amounts. And when it comes to the environmental impact, gum is indeed a plastic pollution issue because it doesn't degrade naturally. It remains stuck to sidewalks or in landfills, slowly breaking into smaller pieces that can contaminate soils and water.
A final question is, what are the best alternatives? As we've mentioned, fresh mint leaves or cinnamon sticks can offer a natural flavor without contributing microplastics to your body or the environment. If your main goal is stress relief, it might be time to try techniques like mindful breathing, guided meditation, or a quick break from your work routine. These can be more effective without the hidden cost of ingesting plastic.
Once people know the scope of this issue, it's easier to make an informed choice. We also encourage consumers to support brands that are fully transparent about their ingredients. If you see an unexplained gum base, you can contact the company and ask if they can confirm there's no plastic. Raising awareness puts pressure on manufacturers to either reformulate or clearly disclose what they're selling.
Exactly. And from a broader perspective, this ties into the worldwide conversation about plastic use, waste, and environmental stewardship. Every time we skip a piece of plastic gum, we reduce our personal microplastic load and help lower plastic pollution in our communities. It's a straightforward shift in habit that can have a lasting impact. With that, we've covered the essential details. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and I appreciate you listening.
And I'm Alara Sky. We hope this helped highlight the hidden issue of microplastics in chewing gum and gave you some simple solutions. Knowledge is power, so remember that small changes in everyday habits can make a real difference. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to having you join us next time on Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Take care and stay informed.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.